Okay, this video dedicated to Evan. I don't know why he wants that, but anyway, he does. Evan else. Okay. So this is 4 questions from your review. Today is Monday, September 30th, last day of before October. The first question says, what is the square root of 4/25ths? Now, it's given it to you in fraction form, and for all of these questions, if you're asked to find the square root of a rational number that's in decimal or fraction form, you should always examine it in fraction form, because now we know that a square root symbol, this square root symbol right here, means what number when multiplied by itself gives you 4/25. So since it's a fraction, I want to say what fraction multiplied by itself gave me 4/25. So what number times itself is what square roots are. That's what perfect squares are. So 2 multiplied by itself gives you 4. And what number times itself is 25? You can't say 12.5 because that's plus itself. But 5 times 5 is 25. So therefore, because of all this work we just did here, the square root of 4/25ths is equal to 2/5. Okay? Because of the work we showed there. In the second question, it says, what's the square root of 0.09? In order to find that answer, you have to first be able to read it using place value. So I know that that says 9/100ths. So therefore, I know it's the same question would be, what is the square root of 9/100ths? So instead of answering it in decimal form, I'm actually going to solve it using fraction form. I say, what fraction multiplied by itself is 9/100? 3 times 3 is 9. 10 times 10 is 100. So therefore, in fraction form, the square root of 9/100ths in fraction form is 3/10. And since 3/10 is read as 3/10, the square root in decimal form would be equal to 3/10 as well. In the second question, it says to estimate the square roots of non-perfect squares. So this first one says, what is the square root of 1/10? Now, because it's in decimal form, what we're going to do is we're going to use number lines to estimate. In the last question, we used fraction forms to calculate, but we can't do the same thing for estimation. We actually have to use a number line. So I'm going to draw a number line, and now I have to figure out what 2 perfect squares in decimal forms are going to be my endpost. So I gave the hint that you have to put a 0 there. And if I think about money, I said that's 10 cents, right? So the first perfect square, we know from this last question right here. We know that 9 cents is just a little bit less than 10 cents. So 9/100ths is just a little bit less than 1/10. So I'm going to put the square root of 0.09 is, as we just figured out, 0.3. And over here, I know the next one's going to be 0.4, and 0.4 times 0.4 is 0.16. So when I set up my number line, that's what it's going to look like. And the square root of 0.1, which is just a little bit more than 0.09, or 10 cents is just a little bit more than 9 cents, will probably be somewhere around here, which means a good estimation, that's your estimation, or is approximately equal to, or an equals, you can also use this one if you want, it's approximately equal to 0.31. Okay, we'll take our calculator just to see how close we were. Bring my calculator into the recording area. Decimal 1, press the square root button, 0.31. That's pretty close. Actually, it's 3.2 if you rounded it. But because we're estimating, that's a pretty good answer. Your next one, what is the square root of 0.75? Well, the square root of 0.64 is 0.8. The square root of 0.81 is 0.9. So 0.75, without doing a whole lot of thinking, somewhere in the middle. So I'm going to guess, without doing a whole lot of calculation, it's roughly 0.85, roughly. Okay, because 0.64 is decimal 8 and 0.81 is decimal 9. Seems reasonable. Grab your calculator. Square root, what number multiplied by itself to get you decimal 75? 0.866, which is closer to 0.87. So my estimation was off by 2/100ths, but that's not too bad. The third question says, what's the area of this square if the side length is 6.8 centimeters? So again, if you wanted to, you could probably say that's just a little bit less than if the side length was 7 centimeters, right? The area would have been 49. So with the area being 6.8, I'd say, I don't know, maybe 45, 46 centimeters, maybe. 40. Let's go with 45. Since if the side length was 7, it would be 49. Stands to reason 6.8 might be something around 45. Grab a calculator. 6.8 multiplied by itself, or squaring it, is 46.24. So I was off a little bit. I was off by 1. And the last one, the area is 3.92. What's its side length? So for this one, the square root of 4 is 2. The square root of 1 is 1. So my answer is going to be somewhere around here, right? Square root of 3.92, because in order to get the side length, you square root the area. So I'm going to guess it's like 1.9 something. But I'm going to guess the side length is 1.9. Grab my calculator. What is the square root of 3.92? 1.97.